Once again, good morning, everyone. It's the time again together, and we are so glad to have you all with us this morning. Thank you so much for making our time to join us again this morning. It's been a long journey all the way from the beginning of August even up to now. Yeah, so this is the two-week session, and this is the last session for this summer training on technology enhanced learning. And we are glad we have come this far. And we want to say a big thank you to all of our participants, everyone that has taken out time to join us all the way to attend every session, those that take out their time to also watch on YouTube. I want to say thank you. Thank you for your views. Thank you for your participation thus far. We are so glad to have you here. And we do hope that the things you've been learning from this training, you have started applying them and you started getting results. All right, so quickly, because our time is fast spent, we'll just get into today's session. So today we have two sessions that we're going to be looking at, and then one of the things that we really want to project, that we really want to pitch through this seminar is the FAD model. That's the fluid, adaptive, and differentiated model for accelerated learning outcomes. All right, we know that there's a wide gap that the pandemic has infused into our learning systems, and there is a critical need for a solution, there's a need for a remedy to actually cover up that gap. And from our research team and from our training partners across the globe, we have put together this model. We call it the FAD model. And we are honored this morning to have one of our training partners from UAE, from the United Arab Emirates, with us this morning, in person of Ms. Teresa. So she's going to be taking us through the FAD model. She's going to be completing. She started it at one day show, so we're going to finish up, and then she's going to be taking us deep into it. This is something we want every school to adopt, and if you do as a school, you will get better results in your learning environment. So quickly, I'd like to hand over to Ms. Teresa this morning. Ms. Teresa, are you there? Can you hear me?
Good morning. Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me, sir?
Very well, very well, very well, very well.
Awesome.
Very well. Okay, so at this point, I'd like to hand over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me once again.
Okay, so I think I need to give you the permission to share your screen. And,
all right.
Yeah, I've done that. I did that right away. And great. So I think that's settled.
All right. Are you able to see my screen and hear my sound, sir?
Very well, very well.
Awesome. All right, can I get started?
Yes, you can.
Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, colleagues, for sticking with us. And I have to commend you because your energy really is contagious. I've been unable to attend some of the sessions, but I have watched the YouTube videos, and I am absolutely amazed at how it is that we have been able to enhance each other's lives by sharing our experience. So one of my mottos is, it's not as important how you start, but it is important how you finish. So allow me to finish off where we have started a while ago and to explain to you the finer details of the FAD model. Now, you've been on a journey of exploring different applications, different tools, different ways of enhancing your teaching. So today we would just like to show you how it all comes together in the FAD model that we would like to promote. So our review of the FAD model is a model that allows us to share our course materials outside of the class, and our in-class time is used for inquiry, application, and assessment. So just to take us back, we would like to take a look at ways that we are able to flip our classroom. As to us, this has been the most important thing to do. So we want to have flexibility, we want to be able to change things around, and that is why we have introduced you to different ways to do that. So just as a little bit of a reflection, can we go back and take a look at the different ways in which we can flip our classrooms? So we did speak about the standard inverted classroom, and this is the kind of classroom where students are assigned homework, they watch video lectures, they use reading materials that are relevant to the next day's class, and then during the class time, students practice what they have learned through traditional schoolwork, and their teachers are freed up for additional one-on-one time. So this is the standard. This is normally how you would go about flipping your classroom. However, there is a second way to do that. We spoke about the discussion-orientated flipped classroom, where again, teachers would assign the lecture videos as well as any other videos, maybe reading material that is related to the day's subject. Now we can think of examples of TED Talk videos, YouTube videos, created videos, personal created videos, and any other resources. And then the class time is used or devoted to discussion and exploring the subject. Now, this can be especially useful in subjects like history or art or English, where there is more discussion-orientated teaching. The third one is the demonstrated focused flipped classroom. And this is especially for those subjects that require students to remember and repeat activities exactly. So if we think of subjects like chemistry, physics, and just about every math class, then it is most helpful to have a video demonstration that learners can come back to, rewind, and rewatch. In this model, the teacher uses screen recording software, and we have been privy to so many different examples of this, and you can use that to demonstrate the activity in a way that allows students to follow along at their own pace. We have also mentioned that there are many different platforms that allow for this content, but if you want to create a personalized experience to build that relationship with your learners, then a video that you have made yourself is always most helpful. It's called the demonstration focused flipped classroom. In the group-based flipped classroom, we spoke about how this model adds a new element because it helps students to learn from each other. So the class starts in the same way. The lecture videos, the resources are shared before the classroom, and then the shift happens when learners come to class. They team up together, they collaborate, and they complete the assignment together in the classroom. So it doesn't only encourage learners to learn from each other, but it helps them also to not only learn what the right answers are, but they also get to explain these answers and maybe have a little bit of a discussion around why the answers are right. The classroom that we are particularly focused on in this particular time is our virtual flipped classroom. So for students and for our unique situation now, this flipped classroom is going to be most beneficial, especially, like I say, in the current circumstances we find ourselves in. So we have been experiencing, like I said, different applications, different tools that allow for us to create the content and then use some sort of online learning management system to share this content with the students. Then the class time is used for learners to work with the content, and also, again, teachers are basically left to build that one-on-one instruction methods that allows the learners' needs to be fulfilled. Our virtual flipped classroom is the model that we would like to talk about today. Another way of using this is flipping the teacher, and this is one that I also particularly enjoy because it allows the learner to take control of the learning situation. Here, all the video is created for the classroom by the students. The students make their own videos or their own content. You would assign students whatever it is that they are supposed to prepare, and then the class time is used where the learners will display what they have curated and maybe teach the teacher. It's called flipping the teacher. Now, like I've said, for our model, we focused on the F, the A, and the D. So the F refers to the flipped classroom model, and then the A would include the adaptive component of the lesson. We cannot flip the classroom if we are not going to adapt our material. So this morning, I'd like to go back to what it is that we've done in our Nearpod session. In the Nearpod session, we spoke about understanding that different learners have different learning styles. And we did also say that understanding this will help us to address the instructional requirements for all of our students. And we also spoke about how we understand that learners have different ways of absorbing information. We also know that learners process this information in different ways. We mentioned too that they comprehend and retain this information in different ways as well. For that reason, we also said that if you want to modify your classes to suit the flipped classroom model, the starting point, or a good starting point, would be to, of course, find out what the learner's learning styles are. We looked at educational theorist Neil Fleming's VARK model, and I think you were exposed to this on several occasions. So VARK is the acronym that we use to refer to the 4 different learning styles. Now, in our previous session, I've asked you to take a moment and explore this yourself. There is a link, if you haven't done this before, there is a link that you can use to absolutely go and to take a look at what this actually entails. Colleagues, this is an excellent way for you to make sure that what you are giving your learners are beneficial to them. It makes the teaching personalized, and I think that is what we are going for. We want to personalize the learning experience so that we reach every learner in our classroom. Now, when you took a look at the questionnaire, I think maybe you have found out what type of learner you are as well. But we also asked you to go and take a look at a different link, which has the same concept, but this time takes a look at what type of teacher are you according to these different learning styles. Now, I hope that you were able to do this, and I hope that you were able to take a look at yourself and what kind of teacher are you. So your homework in the previous session also was, after completing the questionnaire and after taking a look at the Nearpod session, I've asked you to take a look at what it is that you would do differently once you have this information. Once you understand what type of learner you are personally and what type of teacher you are personally, maybe it will help you to understand why it's important to figure out the same about your learners. Now, once you have these results, what next? What do you do with that? So just to give you an idea of how this was beneficial to me, and again, colleagues, I think the best part of where we are at the moment is the ability to share experiences. So when I took this, I found out that my teaching preference is mild oral. I also found out that people with this preference like listening, discussing, talking, and questioning. So as a teacher, I thought about this and realized that this is really how I love teaching best. My scores show me that I do have aspects of all the different learning styles, but if I put it all together, it shows me what my preference as a teacher is. If you take a look at the results, and this is the same thing that you found when you did this, it gave you an idea of what your preferences are as a teacher. Now, I'm not going to go through all of them, but I'd like to highlight how I found out that I prefer to talk things over, and I prefer to do this even if I did not have things sorted out. I realized that I like holding the floor. So as a teacher, I teach best when I have the floor and I am learning, teaching and explaining things to learners. However, I had to think about that, and I had to reconcile that with my learners. Is this the best way how my learners learn? And I think this is one of the reasons why I find this so beneficial. And this is also one of the reasons why, looking at what your learners' learning styles are, have you curate your lessons so that it's not about you as the teacher, but it's actually about the learner. So once again, if you haven't tried this, I'd like to encourage you to do this today. Find out what your particular learning style is, and then also what is your particular teaching style. And when you are in the classroom environment, take a moment and find out what the learning styles of your learners are, because it is definitely going to help you to adapt your teaching so that it makes more sense, not only to you as a teacher, but more so for the learners that you are teaching. I think this is the part that we left off last time, where I took you through what the FAD model actually implies. If you understand your teaching and you understand your learners' learning practice, then you are ready to adapt your actual learning experience in the classroom. We did, just to go over this again, colleagues, we did say that before you can do this, you need to take a look at what your course expectations are. Now, this can be for an entire year, it can be for your month, it can be for your term, or it can be for a single lesson. What are the outcomes that you want to achieve at the end of the day? Now, this is where your curriculum content comes in, because we know that we are guided by our curriculum. So once you have reconciled your course expectation or your lesson expectations, you are ready for your classroom preparation. Your classroom preparation takes into account the different learning styles of your learners, and it helps you to put together material that is now going to see to a learning experience that is going to involve all the learners in your classroom. Once you have your preparation for your class time, it is now time for you to have actual class participation. So this is the part where you are going to combine all the different elements of your FAD model. Now, when you have your classroom activities planned, you are able to use any one of the models to determine what is your classroom experience going to be like. It is important that while you are doing the teaching, and after you have done the teaching, you take a minute to take a look at what is the feedback from your learners. How has the learning experience been for them? And as a teacher, it is also important for you to take a look at what is the feedback that you receive as a teacher. To give you an example, in our previous session, I tried the Nearpod platform, and I tried to make the activities interactive so that you have a learning experience that you are a part of. I could go back, I could look at the report, and I could take a look at how this has affected what the session was all about. When I looked at that, I realized that it wasn't quite as interactive as I would have liked it to be. For that reason, I adapted today, and for today, I'm using PowerPoint to make sure that I get the message across. So this is just an example of how important feedback is, because you want the most valuable experience. Measuring a success is an important part of the process, because the measuring of the success allows you to look at the last part, which includes the differentiation. Now, these elements are not separate. They all come together. In your lesson, you would have differentiated. In your preparation, you would have differentiated. But even after you measure your success, again, this allows you to differentiate, because you are able to see, have you reached all learners? Have all learners been with you on the journey? And also, what has their experience been with the learning activity? I've also explained that in classrooms, we will always have the following scenario. We will always have learners who have achieved the most basic knowledge, and these learners may need support. Maybe there is some of the content that they didn't quite grasp, or there was a block in the learning experience that makes them need some support. We will also have learners in the classroom who have an understanding of the content and who can apply some, but not all, of the content that we wanted to share with them. The large majority of the classroom would normally fall into this category. We would then also have a percentage of learners who have mastered the content and who can independently proceed. So when we take a look at these different categories, we need to understand that the learners who need support are the learners who we want to get to the next level. We want them to have an understanding and an application of the content, or at least most of it. And these learners, we want to get to the next level. We want them to master, and we want them to independently be able to work on their own. So the last category is what we normally aim for in our learning experience. However, it doesn't end there. The mastering learners cannot be left. So simply because they have mastered does not mean that we can leave them there. These learners need to be challenged to do even better. So this is the reason why for us, the differentiation is the most important part of the lesson. We want to reach all our learners, and we want to make sure that all of them are part of the learning process. Success comes when we are able to move students from one category to another. And we also have to understand that the scenario will change. We won't have learners in the same category for every single lesson. It's interchangeable depending on the content and, like I say, the learning experience. Once we have our understanding of where we have come in our learning experience, the differentiation is the most important part of the learning experience. Now, differentiation is something that needs to be carefully thought through. Differentiation isn't difficult. Differentiation is not a concept that makes you think that you have to spend too much time thinking of too many elements. Differentiation simply means, how am I going to include each one of my students? When we differentiate, we find ways to learn about the needs of the individual student because we want to meet that need in our instruction. As humans, we always have needs, and when these needs are not met, then that normally results in certain feelings. Learners want to feel included. The only way we can make them feel included is if we cater to their needs. When we differentiate, we find means to increase student engagement, and we also want to develop stronger teacher-student relationships. Our business, the product that we sell as teachers, is to build knowledge, to build confidence, and to inspire learners to become better versions of themselves. A strong teacher-student relationship also includes student engagement. If there is stronger student engagement, there is knowledge absorption, and that is what we want to aim for. When we differentiate, we also want to use practical instructional strategies that are easy to incorporate into our traditional lessons. Now, we have many challenges, colleagues. So we have many different scenarios, and our scenarios are not always ideal. But I think that after having these sessions, you've realized that the old method or the traditional method of teaching is not necessarily how we need to go forward. We have to find ways to enhance our learning, to change things in the classroom up a bit so that we use practical strategies to get learners to learn, not to get through the content, not to finish the curriculum, but to get learners to understand and interact with the content. That is the main focus. When we differentiate, we also want to help students to take ownership of the learning. Now, the learning has been determined by the curriculum. When the learners understand what their learning path are, or what the learning path is, then they can take ownership of the learning, not because they need to complete an exam or because there are assessments that are awaiting them, but because they understand that by going through the content and mastering it, they are developing themselves. Students have to take ownership of what they know and what skills they want to develop, because this is going to help them to move forward into the future. This is the 21st century learner that we have spoken about in my previous session. Now, allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to show you an example of what a flipped adapted classroom looks like in practice. I'm sure you've listened to all of this, you've had all the applications and the tools that you had to work with, but what does this look like in practice? Now, the video is just a short introduction in how I have flipped my classroom and how I have adapted the learning experience for all of my learners, and also sought to differentiate so that I am allowing every learner to be part of the learning experience. Please let me know if you are able to hear the sound.
All right, ladies, so let us quickly be clear about what it is that you are doing today. This is our assessment for learning for week 1. So for your starter, you are currently busy selecting the vocabulary for your choice board. Now, please remember that you have the choice today to show me what it is that you have learned from our lessons this week. Please note, we had 3 lesson objectives. The first one was to listen and understand the overall meaning of extended texts on familiar and unfamiliar concrete topics. We did say our focus is on understanding the overall meaning. Secondly, we had to listen to identify the main points of these topics. And then thirdly, we want to write sentences using the past perfect tense. Now, how are you going to show me if you have achieved the learning outcomes? You have the choice board that I have shown you on Wednesday or Tuesday already, so that you can decide which one are you going to use to best explain what you have learned. Now, you could do a timeline that shows the trade and infrastructure, a PowerPoint, or a paragraph. You could do a presentation of your own. You could create a song, label and explain the different types of transportation, use a cooperative game, or write a diary entry. Now remember, whichever choice you are going to choose is going to show what you have learned in the best way that you can possibly do this. If you are going to select E, that means you're going to think of a creative way how you can show me about the trade and infrastructure development in the UAE. So I look forward, if you want to challenge yourself, I look forward to see how exactly are you going to do that. All right, that means your first 5 minutes have been completed. You now have to go with me to what it is that is expected of you in this lesson. So you've had your choice board, you've made your selection. If you are feeling confident, you know what to do, you'd like to continue on your own, then just take a look at my next slide. It's going to have the steps. You manage your time and you make sure that you are finished within the next 30 minutes. If you feel like you need some support from me, then stay with me. I'm going to guide you through the process step by step. So, the first step, ladies, select vocabulary. Choose the words that you need in order to help you to speak about your topic. Step 2, you're going to use the facts from your audio script, and again, you're selecting only the information that you are needing. Step 3, You will have to use 2 examples at least of the past perfect tense. So please review the lesson that we did about that in your course book and your workbook. And then in step 4, create. So again, if you're confident, you're ready, then let's get rolling. These are your choices. You choose the one that you can best express yourself in, and you are ready to go. All right. So if there are any questions, I would like for you to ask those questions now so that we can start on the next step. All right. So there are no questions. So I'm going to set the timer now. I'm going to set the timer on 10 minutes. So in the next 10 minutes, you are going to be selecting the facts that you are going to need in order to complete your activity. So you are on the clock. I am with you here. I'm going to ask some people to share their screen so that I can see what they are busy with. So please make sure that you stay online with me, even if you are working independently. I'm very excited to see what it is that you're going to be creating today, ladies. So have fun. If there are any questions, you can ask me now.
Yes, I have.
Certainly, Afnan.
Step 3, we should put the questions about if I want to do again. I have to put questions for the past perfect tense.
That would be awesome. If that is the way that you want to show what you have learned and you want to use the past perfect tense, that would be brilliant.
Okay, thank you.
The choice is yours. Anybody else have a question?
Yes, me.
Who is me?
EAZY.
Yes, Eliazia.
Do the information have to be from the notebook and the workbook, the course?
Say that again.
Do the information have to be in the workbook and the coursebook? Or can we take it from the Google?
You have the audio script to work with, and you have your course book and your workbook information. So the main information is there. If you want to use Google information to enhance your presentation, no problem. But the main information needs to come from what we have worked with in class. Okay?
Miss?
Yeah.
Yes.
Miss, which track?
Track 9.
Okay.
Anybody else? All right, now please remember you are on the clock. You have 7 minutes left. Your biggest challenge today is going to be to manage your time. You've already have your vocabulary. You are now selecting the facts from the audio script. Those of you who are stretching yourself, who are stepping up to the challenge, like I said, if you are happy with what you have and what you know and you feel confident, please feel free to continue with step 4, which is creating. All right, ladies.
All right, colleagues. So that was just a glimpse into what this looks like in a real classroom experience. So as you can see, I have thought about what it is that the expectations for my lesson was. And in previous lessons, I built up so that the learners outside of the classroom received the content that they were supposed to work with. So when they came to class, they should have been prepared with the information I've already set out for them. So the class time was now used in order for them to create what I expected of them in order to be successful at the end of the lesson. So this is just a practical example of what the FAD model looks like. It's flipped because they've got the information outside of the classroom and worked with it. They brought that into the classroom where they now have a choice to produce a piece of evidence of how they want to showcase their learning. Class participation is managed. I have learners who are able to work independently and I let them freely continue on their own. But I also know that there are learners that I'm going to have to work with, and unfortunately I couldn't show you the entire video because you would have been able to see what the interaction looks like in classroom. At the end of the whole session, I was able to take feedback from the learners. The learners mostly indicated that the best part of the lesson for them was the choice board that I have provided. So to give you an idea of what does this look like, this is exactly what I mean. Give your learners the choices to produce the content in the best way possible. So a final word, ladies and gentlemen. The FAD model is a perfect way in order to incorporate everything you need for a great learning experience. Not every lesson is going to be a perfect lesson, but every lesson should be an opportunity for growth in your learners, but also for you as a teacher. So my advice to you is be patient with your learners, but also be patient with yourself. And lastly, only 4 things I'd like to leave you with. Allow for different tools. Encourage learners to collaborate. Showcase your learners' work and also acknowledge your learners' efforts, because that is the best part of the journey, when they are successful and you are able to reward it. Thank you, colleagues. That's all I have for you today. I'm sure Mr. Adebayo has something more for you, so stay tuned for the next session. Thank you, sir.
Wow, and wow. Yeah, awesome. Please, in the chat room, can you begin to drop your response, please? Share your thoughts in the classroom, and also feel free to ask questions. If you have any question, you want to ask any question based on the session that just ended, drop your questions in the chat room. Yeah, but I want to believe that the content is crystal clear, the message is clear, and everyone has a strong goal of what to do to produce a better learning environment. So I want to say a big thank you to our facilitator, Ms. Teresa. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for this awesome time. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for all you have shared us. We are saying a big thank you. All right, so because of time, we have just like about 30 minutes to go about. In achieving this, all right, so one of the things that we are projecting in, that we're passing across to schools, is that every school needs a virtual learning manager. All right, now it becomes essential for you to have a blended learning environment. That's a learning environment that combines both the F2F, the face-to-face, and then the online. All right, what you call the virtual learning system. All right, there's a need for every school to put that in place. If you want to give your learners in your school the best of experience, all right, there's a need to have that in place. Few of the schools that we are consulting for now, this is one of the things that we're trying to put in place. All right, every school that we consult for, we set up FAD for them. Right, for every school that we consult for, we set up FAD in their learning system. All right, so what we are going to be doing, what your virtual learning manager is going to be doing, is to introduce the tools, right, that makes the FAD work. All right, it's not the role of the virtual learning manager is different from the job of the ICT teacher. The ICT teacher is he's trying to pass across some things and all of that. You know, like someone was saying that, oh, they have an ICT teacher. The person, no, that's different. That's different. Okay, so every school needs to have a virtual learning manager, and then in the WhatsApp group, I just shared some documents. I shared some documents that contains the role of the virtual learning manager, and things is going to be doing. First of all, what we do when we come to any school is that we carry out TNA and the SCM test. We call it the training needs analysis test, and also the school community management test. We try to see what your learning environment looks like and what your school community looks like. What's the relationship between the school, the parents, and the learners? Right. Outside from learning, what's the relationship? How well is the school able to connect with parents? All right. Do you reach out to parents regularly with information that concerns them, that is beneficial to them? All right. Do you reach out to your parents regularly? All right. Aside from learning, which other information do you pass across to your learners? Aside from the core academic content, all right. Building a strong and healthy community. All right. And in achieving a blended learning environment, both the parents, the educators, and the learners all have to be trained. All have to be trained. They all have to be trained. All right, they all have to be trained. And so in doing this, that's how we begin our job. After we have done the test to see what your environment looks like, we see what you lack, and then we show you this is what needs to be in place based on what you have. All right. One thing we are doing, our vision is a simplified approach to digital education. So whatever level your school is at the moment, you can experience the digital. That's what we're saying. Whatever level your school is at the moment, you can experience the digital. Of course, we'll keep encouraging you to keep, dreaming big and to keep planning for something big in the future. But right from where you are, you can experience the digital and you can grow along the line. And what we're staying with you. All right. So please, if you are a school on the platform, or if you know that school owners, we'd like to encourage you to tell you what is happening here. All right, you can connect us with them. All right, because every school needs a virtual learning manager. All right, to achieve a successful blended learning environment. All right, based on global standards. Our research team is working day and night tirelessly. All right, even connected with our training partners too. And there's a lot of things that we do, that we discuss, that we put in place. We're members of professional communities, and then we relate with them. We see a lot of things that is happening, and then we are ready to get into any school that is willing to have us into your system and to create a better learning experience for the learners. All right, this is a new session that is about to open. All right, think of having a new school. Think of creating a new world of learning experience for your learners. It's very, very important. Get a virtual learning manager, and that's very crucial. And one of the things that we do is that we have built simplified integration models. My teachers don't have a laptop, all they have is a phone. Fine. Even with a phone, even with an Android phone, there are 1,001 applications, 1,001 tools that are available, all right, to build a digital learning experience around an Android. All right. Of course, you won't get the best with an Android to say, all right, but even with an Android, there are so much that can be experienced. I tell you, there are so much that you can experience just with that Android in your hand. All right, because whatever it takes, you have to just see how you can start from where you are and begin to teach differently. If you're an educator on this platform, you have to see how you can start from where you are and begin to teach differently. All right, and improve your outcomes. And as you begin to do that, you are creating a better career experience for yourself. All right, because it's going to reflect in your learner's performance, and whatever it is you're working, it's going to be known that, oh, this teacher is different. It does it differently, and the learners are doing very well. With this FAD model, I don't see there's every learner is going to be rich equally. Everybody in the classroom is going to have a wonderful performance. All right, and that's what we are passing across. So we have good simplified integration models. All right, which is a combination of several tools that cuts across digital content creation, that cuts across digital interaction, that cuts across digital presentation, that cuts across digital assessment and feedback, every component of the virtual learning system. All right, we have a senior package that covers for all of that, and it's going to be happening right on your phone. And if you have a laptop, wow, that is great for you. That is great because you're going to be harnessing greater tools. There are some tools that are not compatible with an Android, all right, but there are some tools that they are built to only work based on the PC. So if you have a PC, oh, that's awesome. That's very good for you. Of course, we encourage teachers to get a PC. But at the moment you both have a phone, you can start doing something. All right. There's a lot you can start doing. There's a lot that you can start doing. All right. As you prepare for the new session, and as you prepare to be a better teacher. All right. One of the things that I held on to while she was speaking, yeah, is the fact that as a teacher, you are a learner. All right. So you need to understand the way you learn. It's not first about just coming to the class and you want to teach. You have to be able to marry the way you learn, right, to the way your learners learn. And there has to be a balance. There has to be a balance. Everyone in the class has to be reached equally. And that means you have to forget about yourself. Right? Your learners are very, very important. All right. So she talked about, getting to know many tools and use many tools. That's one of the things that we'll do. All right. We're going to be exposing you to a lot of tools. All right. We've done a lot of our research team is daily working, like I said. I remember some time ago we were in the United States and Distance Learning Association trying to see the tools that they have put in place, all right, for the education system there. All right, a whole number of wide range of tools that we have to share with any school when we get to be the virtual learning manager. All right, so at this point, I'd like to say once again a big thank you to everyone that is still with us on this platform. All right, I'd like you to know that at EAZY-DIGI Tech Solutions, we are here for you. All right, we are here to ensure that you have the best, all right, of virtual learning in your school environment. All right, we are here to ensure that your learners get the best of experience as part of 21st century learning. All right, it is a waste of time if a school is producing learners that cannot match up with 21st century learning or the 21st century. It's just a waste of time. All right, so we just have to give our learners in our various schools the best of experience that we can based on what is available. All right, if we're not doing that, then whatever it is we are doing in our school is just a waste of time. Just a waste of time. It is very important that we give our learners the best of experiences, all right, when it comes to the 21st century. All right, so by the time they look back at the school time, they can say, oh, thank God I went to that school. Oh, thank God I went to this school. Oh, they gave me a lot of wonderful experiences. That was for me. Not even with the fact that the evolution we're having these days is just really unpredictable. Unpredictable. They said that the jobs that will be in the next 10, 20 years have not been created. All right, they said that the jobs in the next 10, 20 years have not been created. All right, most of the jobs we have now, we never knew we would have them 10, 20 years ago. So with the way technology is evolving, the jobs that will be in the next 10, 20 years, they have not been created. What kind of learners are we producing? Can they survive in the future? All right, so we need to ensure that whatever it is we are giving our learners is correct, all right, it's contemporary, all right, and it's relevant, all right. Whatever it is we are doing in our school environment has to be optimal in this regard. All right, so once again, I want to say a big thank you. All right, so I have some feedback in the chat room. I have some feedback. Please point as we prepare to round off. I'm going to drop. This is a. Okay, so Miss Uduke says, thanks, Mr. Adebayo. My question is, in training the teachers, what are they going to gain from your company? Okay, fine. When we train your teachers, all right, first of all, okay, of course, we use the FAD model, all right, in our trainings. All right, first of all, I think we're going to run a test with them, all right, we understand their level, to know their level of digital literacy. When we know the level of digital literacy, all right, we begin by teaching them, all right, on digital literacy so that they can understand the terms that are involved. All right, because when it comes to education technologies, there are terms that are involved. All right, when we start using all these words, synchronous, asynchronous, flipped, adaptive, differentiated, all of these words and all of those things, all of these terms. All right, so learning management systems, all of these terms, they need to get familiar with it. All right, so it begins from there. And then when we get into that, when we sort that out, yeah, we now begin to go into teaching them on the various components. All right, we draw a schedule for your school specifically. All right, the training is related. When we run a test, the TNA and the SCM test on your school, and we see the structure of what is on ground, we see the level of your educators, your teachers, then we draw a schedule on how we're going to train them, cutting across digital content creation, digital interaction, digital assessment and feedback, and also presentation tools, and also more important for us, the FAD model. So all those trainings are arranged, all those modules are arranged, right, to cover through that aspect. All right, so I'm not giving you a schedule because we are not done assessing your teachers, Mr. Onome. So when we are done assessing your teachers, and we have and we know them and who are coming to deal with, then we're going to give you a schedule. We'll give you a schedule, all right, to know how that's going to happen. All right, is the training going to be physical or online training? Yeah, basically, our trainings are virtual. Our trainings are virtual. But if you want to make it physical, so there's a cost we have to incur in that regard. All right, our trainings are majorly virtual. We can have virtual trainings going to be, but if you feel you want us to come around, it's fine. We can come around. We can discuss about that. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. We can come around. Okay, so we have some other feedback. Please, thank you, Ms. Onome. Thank you for the feedback. Thank you for the feedback. Thank you so much. All right, thank you. Okay. Ahmed Ishola says, I belong to an higher institution of learning. Can this model be implemented appropriately? If yes, kindly put me through, ma. Yeah, of course, at whatever level you're talking about. At whatever level you're talking about. All right, so this learning model can be implemented in any system. All right, it surely can be implemented in any system. Right, it can be implemented in any system. All right, of course, we can't talk about everything on this platform. We can't discuss everything yet. All right, and that's why there's so much. This is just a tip of an iceberg. There's so much. All right, even the FAD model. If I gave Mr. Ressa more time, she'll dig more and dig more into this. You understand? All right, and that's why we are out for schools. All right, so we cannot exhaust everything just in a training session. It's not possible. All right, so you can reach out to us. Stay connected. We're still going to keep doing more and more trainings from time to time. All right, we're going to be online from time to time, doing more and more trainings. All right, that's what our complaint is all about. Okay, we're going to keep doing more trainings on. So please stay connected with us. All right, stay in our community, and then you keep learning more. Then feel free to reach out to us too. All right, okay, we'll get up. If you have any question for Mr. Ressa specifically, all right, please, you can drop it in the WhatsApp platform that we have to get across to her, and I'm sure you can be sure you're going to get feedback. All right, on that. Okay, so once again, I want to say a big thank you to everyone that has stayed with us today. All right, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. I want to believe that this summer training for educators on technology enhanced learning has been a blessing to everyone, has added value to everyone. Please, right from this training, we'd like you to go and begin to implement what you have learned. All right, we're going to be issuing certificates of participation. participation, but we're only going to give this aggregate participation to only those that do the assignments. All right, so we have sent some assignments to the platform. All right, so please, if you haven't done the assignment, please do the assignment, send it through our mail, and when we get it, we'll check the content, and if we meet that, we're going to give it a certificate of participation. And for teachers on the platform, aside from after this training, if you submit the assignments and we see that you do well, it's an opportunity for you to become an EAZY-DIGI tutor. We have a tutoring friend as part of our organization, or EAZY-DIGI tutors. All right, so you're going to be part of us, and then there's many things we do as an EAZY-DIGI tutor. There's many things that are involved. You get to know more about that afterwards. Okay, all right. Amidishola says only death can separate myself and EAZY-DIGI tech. But it's fine. Thank you for that feedback. We're glad to hear that. We're glad to hear that. So please, let's stay connected and let's stay connected. Let's keep growing. Let's keep upgrading. All right. We have so many things I want to share beyond this training. All right. So one thing we'll just say is stay connected. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. This is all we'll call it a day for this. This is all we'll call it a day for this. Thank you so much, facilitator, Ms. Teresa. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for how much value you've added to us in this training. To all of our participants, thank you so much. We'll call it a day here. We'll see you again later. Thank you so much.